Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're really getting into something I know hits home for a lot of you listening. It's that journey, sometimes a bit bumpy, towards becoming a confident English speaker.
Yeah, definitely a common experience.
We've looked at the experiences and the material you shared, and we think we can pull out some really solid strategies, things that help you feel more comfortable, more effective when you're speaking English.
And it's interesting, isn't it, that figure you found? Something like 70%.
Yeah, nearly 70% of language learners mentioned struggling specifically with speaking.
Wow.
So if you felt that way, that frustration, you're absolutely in good company.
That really underlines it, doesn't it? It's
Mm.
not some personal failing. It's just It's part of learning a language for so many people.
Exactly.
And while those hurdles are common, the best ways through them, they can be pretty personal.
Right. Okay, so let's jump in. Based on everything you sent over, what are those main roadblocks people keep hitting? The fear of making mistakes. That one really jumped out.
Oh, absolutely. That fear. It can be incredibly restrictive, almost paralyzing sometimes.
Realizing, yeah.
Learners get so anxious about messing up or sounding awkward or, being judged that they just clam up. They avoid speaking. And that anxiety itself becomes this huge barrier.
It stops the very thing you need to do, which is practice.
Exactly. It prevents the practice needed to actually get better.
Such a catch-22.
Yeah.
And it's funny because, as the materials also pointed out, making mistakes isn't just like, okay, it's vital. It's how we learn pretty much anything.
Totally essential.
Okay, so fear is number one.
Yeah.
Another big one that kept coming up was feeling like you just don't have enough words. Limited vocabulary.
Yes, that feeling.
You know what you want to express, but the English words just aren't there. Right on the tip of your tongue, maybe, but not quite.
Right. That lexical inadequacy, as some call it, not having the words ready, it
Yeah.
definitely makes conversations feel like a real struggle. You hesitate, you talk around things.
Yeah, you end up using 10 words when one would do, if you knew it.
Exactly. And that just chips away at your confidence. It disrupts the flow, and honestly, it can be pretty disheartening.
I can see that. And then the third key thing that was really clear from what you shared is simply not having enough chances to practice.
Lack of opportunity.
If your day-to-day life isn't full of English conversation,
Yeah.
well, finding ways to actually speak can feel like a job in itself.
It really can. Language is a skill, like playing piano or learning to swim.
Right.
You have to do it, actively use it. Without that consistent practice, it's really hard to build fluency, or what we sometimes call automaticity.
Automaticity, meaning that,
Basically speaking without having to consciously think through every single word choice, every grammar rule.
okay, so it just flows more naturally.
Precisely. And without practice, you just don't get there. It's like trying to get better at basketball just by reading the rule book.
Right? Doesn't work. Okay, so we've got these core challenges pinned down thanks to everyone's input. Fear of mistakes, feeling short on vocabulary, and not enough practice time.
Yeah, those seem to be the big three.
So now let's shift gears. What can we actually do? Strategy number one you pulled out involves a pretty fundamental mindset shift. Embracing mistakes, seeing them as learning tools.
This is huge. It really is about changing your perspective. Instead of seeing an error as like a failure or something embarrassing, you start to see its value, its feedback, pure and simple. Every time you make a mistake and understand the correction, your grasp of English gets a little bit stronger.
It's like your brain is getting a little update.
Exactly. And how we feel about mistakes directly impacts our willingness to, take risks, to jump into conversations, even if we're not sure we'll be perfect.
Which is crucial for getting practice. And on a really practical note, one idea from the materials was keeping a journal, specifically for mistakes and corrections.
Yes, that's a fantastic active learning technique.
Active learning, right?
By actually writing down the mistake, maybe the situation it happened in, and then the correct way, you're engaging with it much more deeply. It takes a quick, maybe slightly awkward moment and turns it into something concrete, something you can go back to. It really helps solidify the learning.
And maybe take some of the sting out of it too, like getting it out of your head and onto paper makes it less scary.
I think so. It objectifies it a bit. And there was that little anecdote in the materials too, remember? About learning Spanish.
Oh yeah, the Gracias story.
Yeah.
Mispronouncing it completely.
Right. And instead of being mortified, the person just laughed about it.
And apparently laughing actually helped them remember the right way to say it later on.
It's a perfect example. Taking a lighter approach reduces that emotional weight.
Hmm.
It makes learning less stressful, more enjoyable.
Yeah.
And honestly, sometimes those funny mess-ups, they're the things you remember most clearly. The correction sticks better because of the context.
I love that. Okay, so strategy 1, make friends with your mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
They're not roadblocks. They're actually signs showing you the way.
Well put. Stepping stones.
Right. Now, strategy number 2 tackles that not enough words feeling. Build your vocabulary daily, but crucially, not in some overwhelming way.
Exactly. Small, consistent steps. Trying to cram hundreds of words at once. It's usually not very effective and, frankly, pretty discouraging for most people.
Yeah, you just forget them.
Right. But the power here is in the cumulative effect. Small bits, done regularly. Even learning, say, just a handful of new words each day.
The sources suggested aiming for 5. Just 5 words a day.
See, that feels doable, doesn't it?
Totally. Most people could find time for 5 words. It feels achievable, not like climbing a mountain.
And that's key, establishing a habit you can actually stick with.
Yeah.
Sustainability.
Okay, so 5 words a day. How do you make them stick, though? The materials mentioned tools.
Yeah, definitely leverage tools. Language learning apps are great, especially those using spaced repetition systems, SRS.
Right. Those remind you of words just before you forget them.
Exactly. Really effective for moving words into long-term memory. And simple flashcards, physical or digital, are still brilliant for active recall. Testing yourself.
Yeah, some apps make it feel like a game, too, which helps.
Anything that boosts engagement is good.
And the other really important piece here, which your materials highlighted, is making it relevant. Choosing words related to your actual interests.
Oh, this is so critical for motivation and for remembering.
Right.
If you're passionate about, say, cooking or technology or travel, focus your vocabulary learning there first.
Because you'll actually use those words.
Precisely. You're learning words you're likely to encounter and want to use in conversations you'll actually find interesting. It gives the learning purpose.
Makes it feel less like just memorizing random lists from a textbook.
Exactly. It connects the words to a meaningful context for you. Much stickier.
Okay, that makes total sense. So strategy 2, small daily doses of vocabulary, focused on what you love, maybe using some apps or flashcards to help.
You got it.
All right, now for the third big challenge, limited practice. Strategy number 3 is all about creating those speaking opportunities. You got to make them happen.
Yeah, this is where the rubber meets the road, really. You can study grammar rules, memorize vocabulary, but if you don't actually speak, it's really hard to build that confidence in real-time conversation.
You need the reps, like in sports.
Exactly. And the good news is there are lots of ways to create these opportunities, even if you're not, living in London or New York.
Okay, like what? The materials mentioned looking for local language exchange groups?
Yes, those can be fantastic. They offer a supportive space, often pretty informal.
Right, less pressure.
Less pressure, you get to practice with other learners, maybe native speakers learning your language. It's reciprocal.
So you help them, they help you.
Nice. And it's a great way to meet people with similar goals, too. Builds community.
Okay, but what if there aren't local groups? Or maybe someone's schedule is tricky? The sources also flagged online options. Platforms like Tandem, HelloTalk.
Absolutely. These apps have been game changers.
Yeah.
They connect you with native speakers literally all over the world. You can find language partners for text chat, voice calls, video calls.
Oh, well, okay.
Usually whenever it suits you. It's an incredible resource for practicing conversation, hearing different accents, all from your own couch.
That sounds really accessible.
Right.
Okay, groups, online platforms, and then there was this other idea. It sounded a bit unusual at first, but actually makes sense. Talking to yourself.
Yes, self-practice.
The materials mentioned literally talking to yourself in the mirror.
It might feel a little weird initially, I grant you.
Yeah, maybe a bit.
But it can be surprisingly effective. It lets you practice forming sentences, getting thoughts out, without any pressure of someone waiting for you to finish.
Right, no audience.
No immediate audience. And it's a great way to hear yourself, to notice where you hesitate or where your pronunciation might need work. It builds comfort with just the physical act of speaking English.
Getting comfortable hearing your own voice speaking the language. I can see that being helpful.
Definitely builds familiarity.
Okay, so big 3 strategies. Embrace mistakes, build vocabulary smartly, create practice chances groups, online, even just talking to yourself.
Yeah.
Got it. Now, there were also a couple of extra bonus tips for boosting confidence further.
Yeah, just a few more little things that can really support the main strategies, help you feel even more prepared.
One was prepping phrases for common situations. I thought that was super practical.
Very useful.
Like if you know you're going to have to order food or ask for directions or maybe introduce yourself at an event.
Right. If you anticipate those scenarios and just have a few key phrases ready to go.
Takes the stress down a notch.
Hugely. You feel more prepared, less likely to freeze up or feel totally lost in that moment. It's like having a little safety net, a linguistic toolkit ready to pull out.
Nice. Toolkit. I like that. And the final bonus tip.
Huh.
This one might push some comfort zones again. Recording yourself, speaking, and listening back.
Yes. The recording technique.
Feels a bit cringy, maybe, hearing your own voice.
It can feel awkward at first, definitely. Most people don't love the sound of their recorded voice initially,
Yeah.
but it's such a powerful tool for self-assessment. It gives you a much more objective listen to your own pronunciation, your intonation, your rhythm, your pauses.
Things you might not notice while you're actually speaking.
Exactly. You hear things others might hear. And you can also track your progress over time by comparing recordings, which can be incredibly motivating.
Oh, that's a good point. Seeing improvement.
It really raises an interesting question for listeners, doesn't it? Would you be willing to try it? Even just recording for 60 seconds, talking about your day. The insights can be so valuable.
Definitely food for thought.
Yeah.
Okay, wow, we've covered a lot of ground here in this deep dive. Let's just quickly pull it all together.
Good idea. Quick recap.
We started by identifying those common hurdles
Yeah.
based on what everyone shared. That fear of making mistakes,
Big one.
feeling like you don't have enough vocabulary,
That frustrating word gap.
and just not having enough opportunities to actually practice speaking.
Right. The big three barriers.
Then we dove into practical strategies to tackle them head on. First, changing your mindset about mistakes. See them as feedback, as learning tools. Maybe even journal them.
Yep. Embrace the errors. Second, build your vocabulary consistently. Small daily goal, like 5 words. Focus on your interests to make it relevant and use tools like apps or flashcards.
Makes it stick. And third, actively create those speaking chances. Look for local groups, use online platforms like Tandem or Hello Talk, and don't underestimate talking to yourself.
Get those speaking muscles working, plus those bonus confidence boosters.
Right. Prepping key phrases for common situations, that linguistic toolkit idea.
Yeah. And maybe, just maybe, trying to record yourself speaking and listening back for insights.
So lots of actionable ideas there.
Definitely. Now, the crucial part really is taking action.
Yeah. It's over to you listening now.
Think about everything we've discussed. Which strategy or maybe which tip really resonated with you? Which one feels like something you could actually start doing? Maybe even tomorrow.
Just pick one to start.
Yeah, maybe just one. Remember, becoming a confident speaker isn't an overnight thing, it's a journey. It's about consistent progress, not instant perfection.
Absolutely. And every single person you hear speaking English confidently now, they started somewhere too, probably feeling unsure, making mistakes.
We all did.
It just takes that consistent practice, trying things out, and keeping a positive attitude about it all.
So reflect on this. Maybe look back at the materials you shared with us and decide on that first step, that one concrete action you'll take.
Because you really do have the potential to get there, to become that confident, effective English speaker you want to be.
Absolutely. And just as a final thought, remember, this learning journey is ongoing. If you find pronunciation is your biggest hurdle right now, maybe dive deeper into resources specifically on English sounds, on phonetics. If it's grammar holding you back, look for interactive exercises that break down those tricky rules.
Tailor it to your needs.
Exactly. Your path is unique. Keep exploring, keep practicing, and keep speaking.